check out this brief teaching video. This past few weeks we've been teaching a series called Graves and Gardens, and we've been looking at what the Bible says about heaven and hell. Now, to be clear, we've spent most of our time talking about heaven, which I gotta tell you, it's gonna be absolutely amazing. And if you missed this past Sunday's talk, I'd encourage you to check it out on our YouTube page. We talked about 5 things that heaven will be like. Now, the 5th thing that we talked about this past Sunday is really pretty sobering to think about. But the reality is this: as amazing as heaven will be, you need to know that heaven is a place for believers, not unbelievers. And what I mean by that is that heaven is a place for those who have placed their trust in Jesus Christ alone for their salvation. Now, I know that that doesn't seem fair, and it certainly is an unpopular view, especially in our culture of acceptance. And to be honest with you, I don't like it either. I wish that everyone would just go to heaven. But the truth is, not everyone will go to heaven when they die. Now, don't take my word for it. Take Jesus' word for it. Listen to what Jesus said about this in Matthew 7:13 through 14. He says this: "Enter through the narrow gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. But small is the gate and narrow is the road that leads to life, and only a few find it." Now, let me read that verse again. And remember that this isn't my words. This is what Jesus says about going to heaven. Matthew 7:13 and 14. He says, "Enter through the narrow gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, to hell, and many enter through it. But small is the gate and narrow is the road that leads to life, to heaven, and only a few find it." See, Jesus tells us that the gate to heaven is narrow and only a few will find it. Now, again, I don't like that any more than most of you, but this is what Jesus tells us. And because Jesus said it, we need to take his word for it, because Jesus is the Son of God. And 3 days after Jesus said these words, he actually rose from the dead, which makes him the authority on life and death. You see, the reality is this: heaven will be a place for believers, not unbelievers. So for your next step this week, if you're not a follower of Jesus yet, make the decision to follow Christ by asking him to be the forgiver of your sin and the leader of your life. And if you need help with that, please don't hesitate to reach out to us, and we'll do our best to guide you on your spiritual journey. Now, if you are a follower of Jesus, your next step is to share your faith with those that you love this week. Don't wait. Don't hesitate. Everyone will live forever somewhere, either in heaven or hell. And while none of us love talking about hell, it's actually the most loving thing that you can do, because as Jesus said, many are on the road that leads to destruction. Now listen, I know that this is tough stuff, and it's very unpopular, and it goes against the cultural norm. But listen, if you're a follower of Christ, you are victorious and you get it all. Heaven is going to be so amazing and so awesome. But if you're not a follower of Christ, you lose it all. And if you're not sure where you stand with Jesus, don't roll the dice on this one. Make sure today. The decision to truly follow Christ is not a trivial matter. It's literally a matter of life and death, graves and gardens, heaven and hell. Which choice will you make?